What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The Capsule. I have a good friend for the third time.
No, third time, I think.
Once at the uni.
Who knows?
Maybe at least second one. I know for sure because we did that long one at the uni. Yeah, that was a good one. Her name is Olu. She is in the place. We also have Jenny, but she's may join us in a little bit because she's on a meeting. Because she's a successful businesswoman.
Absolutely.
And I am not a successful businesswoman.
Stop.
So yeah, we've got a few things to cover, a few bits. Olu said there is some pressing Afro news that is coming out that I should know about / talk about. So I said, rather than me trying to half-assed talk about it and get everything wrong, why don't you just come over, because she lives not far from me.
Not far, yeah.
Like round the corner.
That's a nice discovery.
Lovely discovery. So do you want to start with that, or do you want to start with the little bits of news, or what do you feel like? How do you want to warm up?
Let's start with a little bit of news.
All right.
Let's warm it up.
Well, first thing is, do you know about Dance Your Style on Saturday? Are you coming?
Yes. At Red Bull, right?
Yeah.
Red Bull headquarters. I actually saw it on your page. You shared it. Yeah. I can't keep up, you know.
There's a lot of
many. There's so many. But I am going to come because I ain't doing shit.
Are you entering? You should do it.
Do you know what, yeah? Do you know what?
Go on.
I've been getting it. I can't lie. I've been getting it from people the last year about battling.
You should, especially Dance Your Style. I feel like that would be your thing.
I actually did the exchange one that Clara organised at Move It.
Oh, yeah.
Clara has been trying to convince me for 3 years. Every year around like March, April, I get a message from Clara. And she doesn't say she never says what it is. She always says, every time, she's like, hey sis, hope you're well. Are you free on the 29th of June?
You're like, for what?
I may be.
Yeah.
What's it for? Are you free? It's like, you know when you're like,
I'll tell you after.
Yeah. And me in a rush, I was like, oh yeah. Like I don't have anything in my diary. Amazing. Like I'm doing Red Bull at the Move.
You're like, shit.
Oh my God. But you know what? Yeah, I actually had a good time.
There you go. It was like exhibition-y?
It was the exhibition one. Yeah. I actually had a good time. Like I think my thoughts about battling are bigger than what they actually are.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah.
You know, so because it didn't feel how I thought it would feel. But I don't know if that's because I was like exchanging with friends.
Yeah, and also I feel like Dance Your Style is a little bit more like I've said this a few times, but it's a bit like Mario Kart.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's like, it's not, I don't know, like even if you come like, oh, I've trained and I've prepared, it's still a bit like, all right, we're just going to see what happens.
Yeah,
so I think there's less pressure because it's like anyone could win.
I'm going to come.
See how you feel.
And I'm going to pray about it. I'm joking. I'm going to meditate about this.
If you win, I'm cutting this as the real.
15%.
Yeah.
15%.
This is going to, but you know, I think there's judges for the qualifiers.
Oh, there is? Oh, it's not like a
crowd. No, because I think it's, because it's a qualifier for the finals are in Manchester. The London one is the qualifier. So I think there's they haven't announced it because I think it's not supposed to be like, they haven't even really advertised it to spectators because I feel like it's not supposed to be a whole thing. It's more, they've even labelled it like the auditions.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's a bit more of like we're just finding the winners.
Yeah.
And then the Manchester one's going to be the main thing.
So the main one, you can't enter there and then. It has to have been from one of the regionals. Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
No, that's a good point. It's in 2 weeks, by the way. It's the 27th for people that might want to know. Can you enter there? I don't know. I think not. I've heard potentially, but you know when it's like now I'm questioning the validity.
I guess that's the point of the regionals and stuff, right?
Yeah, I think. Oh, hold on, because it says this is the last stop and the last chance before the UK finals.
Okay.
So look,
if it's a final, then yeah.
Because is it usually top 8?
Yeah, and then they have like wild cards and stuff.
Yeah, so they've probably found 2: Swindon, London, Manchester, and no, just those 3.
No,
I'm
pretty sure there was another one. Wasn't there like a Birmingham? No, there wasn't. I'm making that up.
There was Birmingham last year, but I think it didn't happen. But yeah,
that's nice that it's in Manchester though.
Yeah, it is. They're the Manchester qualifier. Edinburgh. So there's probably 2 from each of those places. London, they'll probably take 2, and then those 8 will go against 8 wildcards. There we go. We did it, guys. We got there.
Got there.
Yeah, it is nice that it's in Manchester. I think from what I hear, it's going to be a nice venue and stuff.
Nice.
And I think it's cool as well to have stuff that's like not in London.
Yeah, agreed.
It is nice to like go travel for stuff, and that's coming from.
They always come like here. Like people who live out of London always come here, so it's nice that we're like make the effort.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know that we know who the wildcards are yet. I don't think they've announced.
I don't think they've announced it.
What else on Dance Your Style? I'm trying to think. The winner goes to India, which will be cool. That's gonna be mad.
That's gonna be like.
I mean, South Africa was pretty mad already.
Like they are just pulling out all the like. Where next? Like Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it probably would be actually. To be honest, I mean, India will be sick because also there's going to be like there's so many people. It's just going to be huge audiences. Like.
And they like India, they come out in the masses.
Yeah,
they come out in the masses.
Because they did an Indian qualifier this year, so they're going to be there to support the.
And they did a Korean one.
Yeah, and there's a few other places that were like.
And I was just like, this is so sick, man.
There is something. I think it's mostly the music, but there is something about Dance Your Style that is like brings in a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I think the popular music thing does help.
Yeah,
and also the crowd vote and stuff like that, but. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun anyway. I'm interested to see who wins. I don't know if they're going to put Kane as a wild card because he's won twice in a row.
I feel like I had heard something about that like
not being allowed to do it.
Not because he's done it twice in a row, which is a shame.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I guess if you can win it. But I also for them, they just want to have as many different people in it as possible. Yeah, but I do think it would be cool to see him, just see how many times he could.
I know.
He could go. I'll be interested to see who qualifies from London because I think that will change my opinion of who might win. Or depending on who's the wild cards also. Because I could like someone like Omni I think could do it, but then it's like it really depends because if you've got Jordan again, even if you've got like TC, like there's a bunch of people that could get it. And the thing is, it's like when we talked about Last One Standing last week, but in was it the qualifying rounds or something like that? But basically, Delon's got like one of them wasn't quite an Afro track, but it was like somewhere in that realm.
Like some weird track.
But it was like 3 in a row that we were like, this suits him so well.
It does. I've told him this, by the way, and I've said to him like, I feel like there's something in your mind, in your brain, and I actually found out that there's something called predictive zone in your brain that is just really good at like stepping out of the norm and just not predicting music, but like your brain is just
like
he's just so good at it, just so good at it.
Yeah,
and I rate it because it's with the rhythms in some of these African dance styles, like it can be really tough to like fit them with like hip hop tracks or popping tracks or whatever, but he just does it so well. And
I mean, this is maybe going to lead on to the Afro conversation, but like I feel also one thing with Afro, which I find really impressive for a lot. I mean, we even talked about it with the Nike sessions, like in the ciphers and stuff, is like a lot of those moves, I would assume, are built on a certain sound, which means they have like a certain feeling to them. So it's like, I don't know, it's like in a way like, I'm trying to think of an example. It's like doing like boogaloo moves, but like on a crump track or a drill track. It's like it was meant to feel funky, whereas like say with Afro I feel like there's some moves that it's very easy that it could feel like mismatched if you do it wrong, but there's a lot of Afro dancers that are able to really like transfer that stuff more than a lot of other styles. Like I find some poppers or lockers or house dancers, I'm like when you do your style on a different type of music it feels empty.
Do you know who's good at that? Who I love watch? Lauren. I said to Lauren, Lauren Scott, like I love watching her pop on Afro music. And then we first discovered it when we were in Philippines for the Queen's speech.
Yeah, true.
And we just had to like we were allowed to put our own playlist, and like mine was like Afro, obviously. And I can't remember what track it was, and she just like annihilated it, and I was like,
sick.
I think there's something, and then like for some reason like. Every time I saw it after that for the next couple of months, like it was like she was popping on Afro tracks, and I was like, Lauren, I don't know, like I feel
there's
like
something happening.
There's something there.
She did she did quite well in the Nike battle on the Afro. I think she came third, didn't she? In the Afro and Afro and dancehall category. I think she came third. I could be wrong.
Is that the one that she entered?
Yeah,
I think. Lauren.
I don't know. Yeah, because also the thing with the Nike battle was like there was only a certain amount of places for each style.
One. Yeah.
So if you missed one, and I think Afro and dancehall filled up the slowest. So I think it might have been that she wasn't able to get that one, so she said, "Oh, let me try," or maybe she just went for it. But I remember her killing it.
I love watching her pop on Afro music.
It was too long ago now to find the post.
Are you trying to? I
was trying to find it now.
I'm gonna be scrolling for ages.
We post too many things. But Lauren on any music is good. But so anyway, all that to say, Dance Your Style is this Saturday, and then in 2 weeks is the main thing. What else is important to talk about? There was something that we're waiting for Tally. Did you see Tally's stories? We're not going to talk about that now, but that's we're waiting for her to come back. Yeah, of course. Tally, we're waiting for you to come back on to talk about that one because I'm interested.
But yes.
Yeah. Go follow Tally and Identity Ideas Industry if you haven't already, because plenty of fun on there. 100%. And would we get? We'll talk about that on the private episode. Because then we can speculate before Tally comes on and speaks about it.
And if you don't know what that is, then maybe you should subscribe.
There you go. Boom.
YouTube,
I would like to shout. I don't know if you've seen. There is a guy called Miniboj who does a lot of the editing for Red Bull at the moment. I don't know if you've seen any of the stuff, but he has done a lot of the like social edits and the promo for like BC One and a lot of other things. Always been really, really sick. I'm sure you would have seen one or two. They've gone really crazy viral, and he does some really sick, really complicated edits for like a 1 minute or even like a 30-second reel. But he's done a couple of things recently that I just wanted to say well done and shout him out for. Is he did one that was about a documentary about Lords of the Floor, which is a Red Bull break-in battle, and he did one which is called Breaking ABCs. I'm going to find out the actual name of it. It's basically it's a hold on, breaking Miniboj, but instead of a Y, it's a J, like a Miniboj. Okay. Let me find out the name of this thing. Yeah, so it's called Breaking History and the Rise of the Art Form, ABC of Breaking, and it's a Red Bull BC One property. It's on their YouTube, but he directed it, and he's just fucking sick.
I'm gonna check it out.
He's just really sick, like going from like doing the social edits and stuff to like doing documentary. I'm sure he has a history of being a filmmaker, but just elevation. Being able to elevate into like a long form and tell a story that's like not only, for example, the Rise of the Break-In one. It's like not only is it informative, like I sent it to my mum like before the Olympics because it's like she might be interested and she'll understand it, but then also being able to like keep it authentic for us and for me to watch it and not feel like like I've seen this documentary 7 times. Like Netflix have a couple of documentaries about hip-hop history and stuff, and I'm like, it's just the same shit every time, Cool, Hug did it. It's like, all right, cool, we get it. But like you have to have that stuff in for people that don't know, but like being able to weave it into this longer story
sick.
And like keep the right things and like explain things that like without making it sound cheesy but it's just, I just wanted to big shout out to him, and it's like it's a different skill set.
Found him.
Yeah, this guy is like, he's the dopest. Like it's a different skill set between being able to do all the intricate edits and promote something and even film dance versus making a documentary and telling stories. And it's like, it's not to be like overlooked, like how not only how big of a transition that is, but just how dope it is to be that good at both of them. Like it's crazy. But
congratulations.
Shout him out. And I think there's a couple of other bits. There's a podcast that the Ruggeds are on. I don't think it's their podcast, but it's called Olympic Goldrush.
Olympic Goldrush.
Yeah. And it's by by a lady called Isel Claessens. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong because it's a Dutch name. But it's called Olympic Goldrush on Spotify, this one.
Yeah.
And it's like, I listened to the first episode today, and it's following their journey to the Olympics. So I think it was recorded a while ago. but like it's like talking through like how they met and then like each of the qualifiers and stuff like that and where they're at. But yeah, it's really nice. It's kind of almost done in a way of like, I don't listen to a lot of these type of podcasts, but it's done in a way almost like the murder. This is my closest reference, you know, the true crime things where it's like they say something and then she'll fill in the context. So it'll be like, yeah, and then when I like he says, when I first met Tawfiq, like I remember meeting him because he called me a biter, and then she'll come in and be like, a biter in breaking is when this happens and blah blah blah.
Oh,
and,
I love that.
Yeah, and like Tawfiq is like this type of guy, and he's born of Moroccan and Dutch parents, and like
I'm gonna,
so it's really interesting to like have her fill in all the gaps, and that's a really cool thing.
4 episodes.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're gonna do more actually.
Only like half an hour. That's not too bad.
No, exactly. And it's just a really nice thing. I think that's one positive thing about, you know, people are talking about, the Olympics and the brands and all this type of stuff or whatever it might be. It's like there's a lot of like cool content coming up because now the visibility is bigger.
Honestly, like it's so, I didn't think that I was going to be as like into it. Obviously, like I love watching breaking and stuff, but I think with the Olympics, I just wasn't sure how into it I would be. But like just seeing like even down to care with like the judging criteria and just following how like that's being constructed, like it's just so sick to see. It's sick, man.
I mean, we spoke about it when Manny was on the other week, but like I think also it's just like this, it's like, even to be honest, like I was gassed watching the England-Netherlands game. Shout out to the Ruggeds. God,
don't please.
Love you guys, but we're in the finals. The thing is, I don't even care about football. This is what I'm saying though. It's like I don't even care about football, but as in I love sports in general, but I don't follow it. But when it comes to like the Euros, it's like because it's country stuff. It's like I can like feel united with everyone. Same with the breaking, but also it's like something's on the line. Like watching a Premier League game, I'm like, okay, so if they win, nothing really happens and it's a draw and no one cares. It's like, this is like, all right, if you lose, you're out. Like the stakes are high. It means something. It's like, I feel like with the breaking, it's like, now's the time to kind of get involved.
And it's setting the tone as well, because it's the first like, it's just so like incredible, honestly. Like, I feel like we've deeped it, but I don't think
I think after it will be
yeah.
This was history and like, look at all the things that happened.
Epic.
And also it's like, mostly with dance battles, it's like if you win, everybody kind of acknowledges that you're not the best just because you won one battle. You're like, all right, yeah, you won, but I won that one, you won that. The Olympics is like, you're the best in the world. Like you've gone through all these qualifiers. Whoever wins the Olympics, the top 3 is like, you can pretty safely say they're the best breaker in the world.
Can you just imagine?
Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. That's the benefit of like there being such a crazy long qualification. Because it's like, it's not like it was one knockout and you're like, I had a bad day.
Yeah.
It's like if you're in that top 16 now, you fucking earned it. You know, it's like there's no, I had a bad day. It's like you had a year and a half of bad days to not get. Do you know what I mean?
And I can't lie. Anyone who knows me, this is going to be very predictable with me. I'm sorry in advance, but I can't lie. I was scanning the thing and I was so happy to see like women on there, and I was just like,
oh my God, the B girls are insane. Like, you know the woman who's at I think she's at the number one, she was at the number one spot for the OQS, which is the last qualifier. She's 41. How crazy is that?
Who's this?
Her name's Ami. I think it's Ami that's 41.
Where? Do you know where she's from?
Japan. Yeah, because basically, hold on, no, maybe is it Ami or Amy? Hold on. Because there's
Ami or Amy.
There's 3 Japanese B girls who are the top 1, 2, and 3 in the OQS. It's crazy. Like, oh my God, there's some crazy stuff. I might be wrong about. Is it Ami or Ayumi? They have like a very similar name as well. Hold on.
Breaking page.
Let me. I'm lying. It's Ayumi.
Amy.
Sorry, guys. Ayumi.
Ayumi. Yeah.
So there's Ayumi and then Ami, who are like 1 and 2 in the OQS. Ayumi is 41, and she won the thing there. She's like really strong. But you know what's crazy? The top 3 were, like I said, 3 Japanese B girls. That you can only have 2 in the same country. So the third place.
I saw that.
She was like, I feel so bad for her because she's killed it and then just couldn't go.
Is that like a...
Just, I think, of fairness because there's only 16 places.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah.
So otherwise it would be like, loads of the same.
Yeah.
But, it's crazy seeing the B-Girls. And it's like, it's so... the B-Girls are like really interesting. Like I had this talk ages ago with someone, but it's like... I think because of the difference in strength, which used to be, well, I think it used to be seen more as like a negative, like, oh, you're not as good because you can't do all these big power moves. My personal feeling again, I'm not like the expert on breaking, but I have been watching it a lot more closely recently. And I feel like because, let's say, the B-Girls can't just do 72 air flares, or like some of them might be able to, but like... Yeah, some of the B-boys end up just doing that. They just go power, power, power. I think the B-Girls have to be a little bit more creative and they come up with more interesting stuff because they have to work around it. And I think coming from someone that does top styles, all the stuff I see in the B-Girls is way more interesting to me because I'm watching the power heads and I'm like, okay, you can do crazy head spins, but that's like, it's not relatable to me. I'm like, I don't even know how strong you have to be to do that. With the B-Girls, I'm like, oh, I get you're doing this little footwork thing and you're linking it and that's a thread to the... And I'm like, I understand all of what you're doing more than what the B-Boys are doing. So sometimes I'm more excited by watching the B-Girls, to be honest. I'm like, this looks cool and there's like more style and there's more like creativity because it's like there's only so many ways that a human can do air flares. Do you know what I mean? Yes, there's people that are innovating, but shout out to Lee. But like there's only so many ways that you can do power, I would say, to a certain level until you get really strong. With the B-Girls, it's like there's a million ways you can do footwork or get downs or whatever.
Come on, ladies.
Yeah, I think it's really worth watching. And also on that note, we're doing the watch parties 9th and 10th of August. Did you see that? Yeah.
Saw that.
So
it's all good. Saw that too. Yeah, saw that.
So I'm excited for that. Should be a good chance. And there's alcohol.
I was just about...
The only thing that was missing from the Nike Own the Floor sessions was alcohol. Only thing. We spoke about this before, but yeah,
that's so funny. I was about to be like, is there gonna be?
Yeah, there's gonna be like that's what we went to do a site visit, and I was like, is that a bar? And they were like, yeah, that'll be open. I was like, yes.
What area is it?
It's in the Olympic Park in East. Yeah, you know, just when you cross over from Westfield, you go out. And then that place called Riverside East. It's not. Well, don't credit me. That's all Sadlers that found that. But
sick.
Yeah, it's an outdoor thing. There's a cover where the screen is.
Yeah,
there's food stalls. Yeah, it's going to be such a sick venue. And I think I'm trying to think if there's any other news. Oh, there was something funny that happened that I thought I'd share also. Maybe I need to find the guy's name because it was fucking funny.
Oh god.
No, it's not. No, I rate it kind of. On there. Not by me. I don't think it's shady. Basically, so we did that battle. We did the battle battalions versus Ill Warriors at the Nike session. Yeah, so we posted it on YouTube, and we put I always put the titles as you could say clickbaity. I say as consumer friendly as possible. So I just put hype breaking battle, who won ? So it just because also then it shows up on more people's feeds and stuff like that, right? If you just put Ill Warriors and battalions, anyone searching, you'd have to search for Ill Warriors to get it. Yeah. Anyway, so it worked and people found it, but there was an account called Breakstreet. And they commented saying, cool battle. It was reviewed on Battle Report Live, Monday to Thursday, blah, blah, on Breakstreet. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Let me go watch it. And so from what I can see, it's a newer channel. They don't have super loads of views and stuff. I don't know if it's new, but a growing channel. But it made me laugh so much because basically this guy reviews battles. And I can't cuss him at all because it's what I do on here and the way I speak about stuff. But
what did he say, please?
No, but he because it's funnier because he commented on ours to say, "Oh, I've reviewed it," but he basically
not him signposting.
Yeah, and then he started the battle and he was like, "Guys." It was guys, this is a 30-minute battle, so I'm not going to review the whole thing. I'll give him 2 or 3 minutes. If it's no good, we're not watching it. And I was like, all right, here we go. So he starts the thing, and then the first guy goes and he's like, nah, this is whack. he's like, they're just doing sets. Like, he's not listening to the music. All right, let's keep it going. And like, he kind of gives, to be fair to him, he gives a good explanation of like whether or not you agree that the first guy was or wasn't listening to the music. He gives a good breakdown of like sets versus freestyling or something.
Constructive.
Yeah, it wasn't like completely hating. He was just like, nah, but he's American, I think. He says it in such a like, nah, guys, this is fucking whack. Like, you know, he's just like straight in. And then he's, and then he kind of lets it play for a little bit longer and he's like, talking about because it was a Nike jam, so he's like talking about shoes, like he's like, oh, these shoes are better than these shoes, blah, blah. And then he's like, all right, that's enough, let's watch something else. And it's like, it must have been like a 1 minute segment or something like that, but to comment on the video being like, guys, we reviewed it, and then be like,
and then lo and
it was
behold,
whack,
the review,
cuss out the first person, and then fuck this, we're gonna move on. But listen, this is what I wanted to say in case he watches this. I rate it in a way of like, you have to be honest and you have to be real, and that's what people are gonna like come to your channel for. Is like, I'm not laughing at the review of it. I'm like, yo, do your thing, and that's your channel, and that's how your personality comes across. Do your thing. But it would just made me laugh so much of the like, oh, cool battle, it's been on our channel, and then I go to watch it,
and it's like, this was shit.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Let's move on.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it was entertaining and it made me laugh. So yeah, shout out to Breakstreet. Go follow their page and check out their stuff. Seems like he does know what he's talking about. So yeah, fair play to him. But yeah, I think that's all of the newsy type of stuff that I had. There's some other bits, but maybe for another day. So you just came back from somewhere.
Yeah.
Where was it?
Barcelona.
Okay.
Spain.
I think I know. Okay, you tell me what you were doing there before I speculate.
Why are we Hagen?
Yeah.
So we went out there, Afro Dance Blast, to collaborate with organization called OYOFE. I feel like you might know Nico. So I feel like he's the co-director of I Love This Dance.
Oh, I know the
Wait, let me check before I start chatting.
The platform, because a bunch of people from the UK went last year, right?
Yeah. So typically they would do workshops, so they get like a bunch of like incredible teachers. No. Hold on, let me. No, his name is
the way I'm just writing different variations of Nico.
So this is that.
That's okay. Yeah.
And the guy who runs it, his name is not even Nico on Instagram.
Okay.
A Fanta boy.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, he used to live here.
Yeah.
So we lost battles to him.
Yeah, so we collaborate.
It's fine. It's totally fine, but I'm still not over it. I remember the year and the date, but it's fine.
Not the day, the time. What round it was.
No, yeah, he used to live here. He used to battle in hip hop and house.
Yes.
Before there was really like Afro battles here. Yeah.
So we collaborated. So typically he does workshops and battles. And I kind of approached him to the idea of kind of bringing Afro Dance Blast as part of his festival. So this was in December, and the meeting was so chaotic. I was like, but the one thing that stood out was we both kind of had similar passion about like the culture and community. So even though the meeting was chaotic, I was like, I feel like it's gonna happen. I don't know if it's gonna happen this year, but I feel like it's gonna happen
eventually.
And it did, and it was honestly like, it was amazing. There was like OYOFE in general draws in like people from like Mexico and like Korea and China, Japan, like just everywhere. So having like all those different countries in the room performing was just amazing. Like there was a crew there called Afro Korea, and just seeing how different communities take on African dance and how they fuse it with their own culture. And I brought them up because I just feel like they were the perfect example of learning something that isn't necessarily your culture, but still staying true to your traditions and your culture, and just finding like the synchronicity. That is both.
I was going to ask you about that, because like I feel like that's such a hard thing, and I feel like people struggle with that, even with like hip hop, in the sense of like, how do you stay true to that? How do you do basically what you just said, but like, how do you stay true to something that is maybe not the culture that you've grown up in, but also not like, you don't want to in a way like disrespect it by just completely doing your own thing, but at the same time you don't want to in my opinion, it's equally as disrespectful to almost like cosplay that culture and be like, you know, like one thing that annoys me is like, and I've said this before on the pod, but it's like people that dress up like they're like, you know, it's like, oh, I'm going to do hip hop battles. I'm from like Lithuania or Oslo, but I'm going to dress up like I'm from New York in the 90s. And it's like, this feels cosplay like, oh, I've seen videos of like Wu-Tang Clans, I'm going to dress up like them. I'm like, the point of a culture spreading is not for you to cosplay, it's for you to add your thing to. So how does that work in Afro? Do you have a way of like, I don't know how well you could like say it, but like, do you have a way of like, okay, this feels more authentic and this doesn't? Like if you're not, I guess, from or have links to African culture, if you're dancing it, like what's the authenticity thing?
I think for me, like if you're trying to find, like it's like you're trying to find the equilibrium like with two. So like if someone's from Korea but they have an interest in African culture, I think it's having like a specific, well, first of all, having a good understanding of your culture, because in order for you to find synchronicity, you have to understand your culture in the first place. And then I think if you have that understanding and there is a genuine, I don't know, I think not to sound like all spiritual or anything, but I think like if your approach to learning it like is pure.
Yes.
So it's like if you're learning, let's say a zonto, for instance, in Afro dance, and you're learning the steps and you're learning the history and you're learning like the nuance, I think because you have your culture here, like let's take like the typical Azonto step, like there might be something in like the Korean culture that kind of goes sidestep as well. And then you kind of find like how they merge without taking away from either of them. But I don't know, like I just feel like you have to have an understanding of yours first and foremost. And then like go in with pure intentions with whatever. And also understanding that like you're part of the culture, but you're always going to be a guest in it. And I think that's also okay. I feel like people kind of have this like negative undertone when you say like you're integrated in the culture. But there's still an understanding that like, I'm not from there. Like this is something that I really enjoy and that I value, and it's something that's a part of me. But I'm still a guest that has not been allowed to stay, but like I've been accepted in it. And that's very much okay. And I think the people who succeed the most are people who switch off their ego and are okay with saying, I love this culture, I'm going to learn it as much as I can, I'm going to integrate and support that community as much as I can, and this is my vocabulary, this is my style. And I think those people excel the best because it's not ego driven, which is why I only got to speak to them a few times, but I mentioned Afro Korea because I just think it was beautifully executed. Like the outfits that they wore was like traditional, not fully traditional, but it had elements of like Korean culture in it. And they did this like choreography where I think it was like Afro house, but then they did it with like, it was just I don't know, like the way they did it was so intelligent, and just so smart, and I just really respected it, you know. And
I think you know what's like also interesting is like what you said about like kind of knowing your culture, and also like, well, I think it's kind of both things, because I always talk about like London culture and like especially grime and stuff like that, but like a lot of stuff that if you don't know much about London and you go, oh, that's a London thing, often that's like African Caribbean stuff that's been passed down, like things that if you like name of the 5 most like prevalent like London slang words, chances are, and there's probably also like a good percentage that's like East End of London, like those Cockney, it's like Cockney mixed with African and Caribbean cultures, right? And that's what makes up London's like the thing that is London. But it's also different to, and you probably speak to this way better than I can, but like it's different to African culture, even if it's influenced. So it's like there's a London culture, which of course is African Caribbean, but then that is its own thing. And I think the reason of like in the same way that has happened in a very natural way through the I feel like the most authentic ways of culture, it's like people that have moved here and integrated and developed those cultures. It's like that, who's to say that couldn't happen in Korea? Do you know what I mean? It's like, and you would need, you need the contact. There's a difference between it, like you taking the culture, but like the same way that like, yeah, like you get like African, Caribbean, East End and that fused to make London. It's like, why can't you take Korean culture and African culture and make something, I don't know, almost completely new?
Yeah. And I don't know. I feel it's even if you take something as simple as like, Africans who live in London, right? Like I think even our nuance and our approach to Afro dance and African dance, it's noticeably different because there's I
think Homebro spoke about that a little bit.
There's a Black British nuance that I think even our brothers and sisters back home have noticed and can respect and appreciate it. Obviously, when it's time to not be a purist, but when it's time to like stick to exactly what it is, and typically you would do that with traditional forms and the older African dance forms, and you kind of want to leave
That's
it as
the point of the tradition.
Exactly. But I think with like the African street styles, for instance, you can definitely see like the London or UK influence. So like a lot of us will dance on grime music and we're still sticking to like the root of the style, but the nuance is London. Do you know what I mean? For someone like me or even homebros or whoever who I grew up in Peckham and like they grew up in East, like there's always going to be this like thing that's like, because we've grown up there, like it's always in there. So I don't think it means that we're steering away from it, but it's like with Afro dancers in America, for instance, they also have, so it's not that we're doing different things, it's just that the nuance and the environment is obviously influencing, even if it's just the way your body is. Like I dance very like so because I grew up in the hood and I my movement is informed by hip-hop because that was my first thing that I did when I started dancing. So I think it would be different if I grew up in like Nigeria, for instance. But I think it's so beautiful to see. Some people don't fuck with it, but I think it's so beautiful to see how people authentically and organically are able to like do this.
And but I would feel like, because we spoke about this, I think last time you were on the pod, but I can't remember. But like the idea that like, even just saying like African dances or Afro dances is like a somewhat questionable thing, because it's like, and I would expect, so it's like saying, oh, are you from Africa? It's like, well, there's a million countries there, like which one? And their culture is so different that it's like, you would want to separate them. But in the same way that like, you wouldn't, I don't know, like a South African dance may be completely different from like a Kenyan dance, from a dance from the Sudan or something like that. But it's like, then you would also expect that something that grew in London is going to be completely different to that. Like you would almost want that to be the case, right?
I think the reason why it's like, it's always like questionable side-eye twitching vibes is because I think because it's so, it's not the styles and the movement themselves are not new, but they are new in some of the spaces that they are now existing in.
Wait,
so African dance isn't like, it's not a new concept. It's not like a new thing. But I think where they exist now, like 10, 15 years ago, it didn't exist the way that it did now in London or in America or even Korea, right? I think the reason why people are a bit touchy about it is, if it's relatively new in the space that it exists now, especially in the Western world, should we be like blurring the lines with the names until it's like solid in people's minds? Chords, whatever you want to call it. But I think because it's like Afro dance, African dance, but the Afro dance is not a thing. It's so, but I think it's one of those things that's like, it is what it is now. And I think you have to trust the judgment of either the teacher or the person. Like if you come to my classes or even Homebro's class or Patience or Corey or whoever teaches, like there will be specificity like in like the names that they're delivering in terms of the style they're teaching. But I think, the issue is always when, I don't know, you see a flyer and it's Afro and it's like, well, which one? Because then how do you train people's minds to differentiate the two? But
is there any world in which like you know, like we have popping and then we have underneath that loads of different styles that are from different, like strutting is like, I think from a certain area, boogaloo's from a different area to strutting. Like I think there's loads of other different ones that have kind of like evolved in different I think there's people that could speak on this better than me with in terms of popping, but Is there a world in which like Afro dance is like popping? It's like the umbrella, and then within, which it probably kind of is now.
Yeah,
right?
it is. Yeah, I think that's how we kind of explain it. I think if you go to any of our classes, or if you have a conversation with any of us, it's like I think one of the first thing we say is like, think of it as an umbrella term.
Yeah,
I specialize in so and so, which is from so and so, and this person specializes in so and so. So I think I mean, as long as that is being explained, like I think people have become okay with like using the term Afro dance.
That seems like it makes more sense.
Yeah, as long as obviously at London Contemporary Dance School, whenever I do teach, yes, it's referred to as Afro dance or African dances, but when I teach, I do have to say it is an umbrella.
Sure,
it's an umbrella term, and what I'm teaching you right now is so and so.
Is it? Yeah, I feel like it makes sense as an umbrella term because they are,
I think so,
African dances.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's because people a few years ago it was being used instead of, or it was like I'm teaching Afro dance. Okay, well, what's the technique of Afro dance?
Yeah.
So I think it's always now it's a bit clearer.
Yeah, and it's always when it's the teaching or the commercialization of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Because there's so many people that are like, oh yeah, I'm a body popper, or like, you know, like, and they're just fucking around with it on TikTok or whatever, and you're like, all right, like, do your thing. But yeah, if somebody was to start a class being like, oh, I'm going to teach you popping, and it's like, you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
What makes up popping.
Agreed. Yeah. So I think now it's like it's not as bad as, at least from my point of view, it's not as bad as it used to be, because I think there's a collective understanding that it's an umbrella term.
It's an umbrella. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But we started that from saying the Afro Dance Blast was in... What's the name of the festival again?
So it's called OYOFE. OYOFE Festival. Yeah.
What is it? Is it mean something? Is it?
Say it again.
OYOFE? Am I saying it right?
Oh, that was good.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Say
OYOFE. OYOFE. I'm probably sounding more British than you, to be honest. Well, actually, like OYOFE is, I don't know if this is intentional, and I probably should have asked him, but OYOFE is actually Yoruba, which is my language.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it means like celebration. Like, it means like a celebration.
Yeah, that must be.
Yeah, so I which is interesting because he's not Nigerian, but I believe that is what it's meant to.
Oh, he's not Nigerian.
He's from Ivory Coast.
Ah, okay.
But we are all Google brothers and sisters in the eyes of the Lord.
No, it's giving me some autocorrect.
Screaming,
dying. It's like it's like I've spelled it wrong.
Oh, wait, let me see. We'll go.
Why is it like? Did you mean YouTube? No, I didn't. I didn't mean YouTube.
No, that's not what I meant.
That's cool though. Yeah, it must be. If it means celebration and it's an event, it must be.
OYOFE's been. This was volume 6, so I believe this was his 6th one. If I'm not, but it is just like dope. Just the most amazing energy vibe, like quality teachers.
Sick.
4 days.
So I was gonna say, what is the festival? Because I've heard about it, but I don't know what it is.
So it's basically like it's a celebration of African culture, but mainly via classes and battles. So the classes will go for 3 days, and each day, I believe there's like 5 or 6 classes a day, which
that's a lot.
Is tough.
What's up, everyone? We're going to take a quick break so I can tell you about the Capsule's YouTube memberships. We've now introduced 2 membership tiers which you can use to support and help us grow. First, the Capsule Contributor tier is £1.99 a month and will earn you a loyalty badge and contribute towards the sustainability of the Capsule's entire platform. Secondly, we have the Loyal Listeners tier, which is £4.99 a month. And here's where it gets good. There will be an extra private episode for every public episode we release, which will be only for the loyal listeners. You can request topics, hear our real and raw thoughts, and get behind the scenes and exclusive content in addition. Every single penny we receive from these memberships will go directly into the Capsule platform, helping us to grow and evolve in so many ways. All you have to do is click the join button in our profile or under this video for more details. We really appreciate everyone's support on the journey so far, and we're super excited to move into this new phase. But first, let's get back to this episode.
The businesswoman has arrived.
Hello, everybody. Hey, Ola.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm late. Had a little work hold up.
As you should.
Yeah.
Held up by work.
Or as I should not. As I will get a tell off later.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
Yeah, so then so there's like 5 to 6 classes a day, and then on the second day, was it third day? I can't remember. There's battles.
Sick.
So there's 1v1, and then there's 3 versus 3, and then
just Afro like.
So the 3v3 can be any style, which I think is really, really nice.
Just all styles, as in all styles of African dance, or all styles. Okay, sick.
But it can only be on African music.
Sick, we'll love that.
Which I think is so cool, to see crumpers, lockers, like poppers in like an African dance space, like doing their style, but to African music is so sick. And I'm so glad he included that. And then last year he introduced something called Black Belt.
Okay.
And Black Belt is it's invite only, and it's meant to be like the best of the best in the Afro dance world, and you battle each other and you vote. So it's not like an audience vote, there's no judges, the dancers are the judges.
Sick, I like that.
So you battle each other, and then you pick, I guess, who you think won, and then it goes on like that. So it's and this year was the first year we did the showcase.
And so the Afro Dance Blast collaboration was that you basically added the showcase into the week.
Sick. So it is
that's
sick.
smart also for them.
I'm actually like really, really grateful that because I think what we didn't want to do, we knew that we wanted to take Afro Dance Blast outside of the UK, but I don't like feeling like you're overimposing in a community. You know when like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know when you feel like you're not from here, but you're just coming here to come and make money.
Spoke about this before the pod.
I nearly said it. Do you know,
we all know.
We didn't want to do that, and I think the best way to do that was to integrate with the community rather than like feeling like you're overimposing
and work with them, like especially
where you create a space for the people that are there to be involved in some capacity.
Exactly.
And I think it's a great, like if there's already something happening, why not consolidate resources rather than trying to split it?
Exactly, it made sense, and we worked really, really well together.
Sick.
Because we weren't sure how it would work. Obviously, coming from the UK is completely different.
Vibes,
but the energy, the vibe, the support, like just the celebration was just way beyond like our expectations. So,
and how did it fit within the week? Because you said you got the classes all day, battles on the weekend.
So the first day was when the showcase happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we weren't sure. We were like, should we do it on the last day? Should we do it in the? But we decided to make it like a welcome.
Sick. That's
like
actually quite
welcome
nice.
kind of vibe, and like the beginning of the. So there was like a jam like before the show that they had where people pick up their wristbands and then they can jam, cypher, etc., which is really, really nice. And then the show happened, and then the after party happened. So that was kind of like a
welcoming evening. And then the classes start the next day. That is actually a really nice way.
Nice because I feel like often it's kind of like you do kind of work the whole week, and then at the end it's like showcases to close. But I feel like having showcases at the beginning, like, is a really kind of welcoming vibe, but also it like sets the tone of.
It did.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like, have you ever been to a show and then you're like, oh, I need to go class, or I need to go like I do that when I'll go to like a big battle, and then I'm like, the next day I want to go train. But it's like I can imagine like you watch that and then you wake up and I'm ready for class. Let me go learn.
So we did it like so we had like guests, and then we had like a submission process where like anyone could just submit to perform. So we wanted it to feel like it wasn't just like the popular people. And majority of the guests were people who were teaching at the first. So I think it was really nice for the audience to see the teachers in that type of space, because typically they would just see them teaching, but not like performing or showcasing. So I think it kind of set a really nice tone for the classes 100%. And stuff, I think.
That is really nice, actually.
Yeah.
Sick. And is that like a for now a one-off, or is it continuing, or what do we know about the future?
So we definitely will be taking it to different countries for sure.
Sick.
But the aim is, so with OYOFE, I would completely love to like continue the relate. I think with anywhere that we go, we would love to like just I know it sounds like a lot, but I think it would just be nice to like with all like the festivals, or even if it's collaborating with like a battle, it doesn't have to be like a workshop or whatever, to kind of set like a foundation in different places. And we know that this is going to happen here and this is going to happen here.
Where was this one? Sorry,
Barcelona.
This is in Barcelona. In Spain.
Where would be like if you had to pick like 3 places in the world that would be kind of the countries you would want to hit.
So I really
they can't be in Africa. Because that's the easy answer.
Okay, yeah.
That's the easy answer is like the places where the stars came from.
It could be like 3 countries in Africa and then 3 countries not in Africa.
So 3 non-Africans, Philippines.
Oh, sick.
100%. Because I like from that project that we did with Clara, Queen's Beach, the community,
You loved it.
Yeah.
I just
It's true, I forgot you were in that.
Yeah. I don't know, like it felt like, maybe because it felt like my country. I don't know, like the mannerisms, the food, it was just really, it felt like home for me.
Yeah.
But Philippines, I would love to go to India and Saudi Arabia.
Sick.
Yeah.
You know what you can do? Is win on Saturday.
Stop.
Win in Manchester. Go India. While you're there, make some connections.
Do you know what?
It's a business trip.
No, that's what I did with this.
Oh,
I booked to go. So I went OYOFE.
Oh, before.
That makes sense. I would have gone anyway, regardless. Yeah, I actually went OYOFE, and then like I did like a whole presentation and everything.
Sick.
Yeah, even I knew him, and we were cool, but I didn't want it to feel like hey bro, like
let's
collaborate. Yeah. Like I had like a whole like cute little PDF and everything.
Sick. No, that's good.
And then African countries, definitely Ghana, South Africa. I want to say Nigeria, but I'm just not sure Nigeria has the infrastructure. But
but like ideal world, it would be great to do it.
Ideal world, yeah. So Ghana, Nigeria.
Where in South Africa would you do it? Joburg?
Probably Joburg, yeah.
Fair.
Sick. Joburg, sure.
Well, I'll give you a little, it's not insider information at all because it's public, but I'm telling you and I'm telling you also. The British Council has a grant called Connection Through Culture.
Connection Through Culture.
Yeah. And it's a 10K grant to have a collaborative project between an individual or organization in the UK and a country in the Asia Pacific. So the Philippines is on that list. And yeah, it's like, it's 10K and like but it's really about like creating kind of a cultural connection. Like actually Queen's Speech was funded by British Council.
Yes, yeah, it was. Yeah.
So it's like it's a smaller, like the fund that they got was International Collaboration Fund, which is a larger one. So CTC is like a smaller one, but it might be a way to
I'm gonna look into
pilot the project.
Thank you. I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah.
Because that would help.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Because then there's other international funds that are available, but I think that one like officially opens kind of right now. It's just been announced.
Where would it be on?
On British Council, the British Council website. But I think it like officially opens, meaning you can see like what the whole form looks like. I think in like a couple of weeks, and I think it closes late August, beginning of September, or something like that. But if if you need help, or if you, I don't know if you how familiar
you are a guru.
No guru.
I've heard from about 4 different people.
the streets be
the
talking.
streets be talking. I have heard that. Yeah, you are.
Well, I've also heard things from 4 different people. About different stuff.
I'm like publicly putting out there that I'm happy to like bounce off, like talk about your application if ever you'd like.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
that would be, because I'd love to. I did actually do one. Currently doing one. So a German partner and myself, we applied for something called Cultural Bridges. Okay. Which is similar. Yeah.
I know what it is.
And it's and we got it, and that was like my first time like applying for any kind of funding. And the residency is happening in 2 weeks, actually.
Let's go.
What's the point of it? Like, what do you...
So it's basically to kind of speak about like marginalized communities here in London and in Germany, and just seeing like the similarities, the differences. There's no pressure to like create anything per se, but
it's a dance residency.
But it's a dance residency, yeah. So
Sick.
it's with Shaquille,
that's good.
and with an amazing artist from Germany called Sahali. So she's a whacker. And obviously, so
name rings a bell.
I'm really excited to see like how that works and what they like build from that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounds like it's, but yeah, I would love to.
Yeah.
speak
Sick.
about.
Yeah. Sick.
That's dope.
That's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really sick, and I'm loving. Yeah, I love the idea of that festival as well. Actually, now I'm kind of like, now I want to go.
No. Honestly, like even if you're not an Afro dancer, like I feel like it felt like there was a lot of people who, because of the 3v3 thing that he does as well, it kind of creates that space for other dancers from other styles to come. And I think even if you were just there as an observer, because there's like after parties, there's the battles, there was football 5-a-side this year.
Yeah, that's a proper way of doing a festival.
Yeah, and where he did it was just sick. Like I think it was it used to be like a Nike space.
I know where you mean in Barcelona.
It's called Play
Barcelona.
Yeah. So he turned it into like this like OYOFE village.
Sick.
And there was like food, and there was like, he built a stage for like the classes, and it was just sick. Even if you're not an Afro, like
I feel like if they wanted a media partner, they would go with I Love This Dance. But if you want a media partner from London,
I mean,
yeah. Turnaround time is super
highly
quick.
recommend
2 days, 1 day, 2 days, half a day if you need it, overnight.
I think he would, you know.
I'll write him, but like
I think he would.
I mean, that would be sick to partner with him.
Like, there's no harm.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially because I feel like he sits in so many different lanes, like as well, because he used to live here as well. But he's a great guy, man.
Sick.
He's a great guy.
I swear because you said his name is Nico. I swear, what did
Louis.
he? That's it.
Yeah, this guy.
I was like, I swear that wasn't his name.
4 different names.
Okay,
Nico, Louis, Fante Boy, Boss. There's so many names.
Sick.
But yeah.
I feel like also with in terms of like, you know what you were saying about people coming and being able to enjoy it even if they're not like Afro dancers. I feel like there is something like the Afro dance community is really like welcoming of other people.
Yeah.
Like not even outside of people that are doing Afro dance, it's like I feel like I would feel confident like ciphering with a bunch of Afro dancers and doing popping, but it's like I don't know, I feel like they're quite welcoming where maybe some other styles aren't as welcoming.
I think it's because a lot of people like, I think because it's so loud, as in like the dance is so loud, so I get why maybe some people it feels intimidating for people who aren't used to it. But the moment you step in, I think it's because the culture is like that. It's like you're supposed to share it. Like like you walk into like a Nigerian mum or Ivory Coast mum or Congolese mum's house, and it's like, you want food? You want what do you want? Do you want some clothes? Do you want a pillow? Do you know what I mean? Like it's meant to
you're supposed to welcome people in,
invite. So I think that translates like a lot. I'm not saying that it's all like peaches and roses.
No, of course,
of course, but for the most part, like I think just that welcoming spirit, I think, carries through from like how it is back home, and that's how it should be. Like it shouldn't. I get why it might look scary, but it's not supposed to be, because that's not what the culture is built on. It's not built on fear. Yes, you learn things the right way, etc., but it's not built on fear.
That's interesting, because I feel like also like the guys that I grew up with, like I think we spoke about this last time, but like the guys that I grew up with, the 4 of them were African, and I feel like a lot of like the stuff that I learned about Africa growing up and like specifically their countries is like from them. But like going to their house or going to like I don't know, barbecues or family functions of theirs when it was like all their relatives and stuff like that, I got that impression of like, you know, it's like, okay, all of these people are Nigerian here. This is a Nigerian birthday party or wedding or whatever. And I could feel very easily like, oh, you don't get, you don't, for example, even like the first time I tried like Nigerian food and stuff, it's like, it wasn't a case of like, oh, you don't know what this is. It's like, all right, let me, like, do you know, have you had this before? Like, let me explain to you. That's that meat, that's that meat. You might like this one if you've never tried that. Like, it was really like welcoming, like,
there's
we want you to.
That, like, I want you to. So there's like a girl called Elsa in Afro Queens, and we took her to a Nigerian restaurant. We were like, this is your initiation, because you can't be in Afro Queens without we have to, you know,
give me some recommendations. You have some restaurants.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
What do you want? Ghanaian, Nigerian? I'll give it to you.
Oh,
and we were like, and it was so nice because like it can feel like, especially if you're in a group that's called Afro Queens and you're not, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It can be like, should I be here? But yeah, we took it because food is also an integral part of like African culture as well. And I think even like if you, I did this thing with my girls where the style that we were training in, you had to either make the food from scratch or you had to order food. And you'll be surprised how that just sensory wise, and I know it sounds like extra, but I'm an extra babe. I know it sounds extra, but like sometimes the correlation starts to make sense with the dance when you like you taste the food and you're like
you're like, oh, this is why these people love being alive so much.
This is why the Nigerians are so, because their food is spicy. Like I don't know, like just those little things. I think it's beyond the dance, right? And I think the dance is what we see like the most, but like we forget about like the parties and like it's like my friend Corey, you know Corey, right? Corey D.
Yeah, of course,
like, she always says like, if you really want to learn the dance, go to the clubs.
Like,
go to the Afro, which I think a lot of styles say like, go to you learn it in the class and you know the street. But I always say in like, even in my classes, I'm like, this here, like what we're doing right now, like learning this in a studio, like it's like a fake version of it. Like it's just
like
such
the AI
and if I can close like the mirrors or like just switch it around or whatever, like go to the clubs.
You know what? It's funny, like when I'm teaching hip hop, but also when I'm just teaching generally freestyle, I have like this, that, let me start again. This is how I explain how you should kind of train to people that don't really know about the scene or like, let's say really new people. I'm like, to start with, like I always start with like a 2-step because I feel like a 2-step is the base of every single style in the world. Like all the music, everything, any party in the world, any culture, you start with a 2-step and you build up from there. So then it goes into all these different directions. But I always start with a 2-step. And then the other thing I say is like, all of this started from clubs and from parties. So the origin point of almost every move is someone doing it, even if it's like an evolved, mutated version in that, it's like someone's doing it in a party. So I was like, look in the mirror and ask yourself if you could do this move while having a conversation in a party without looking crazy. Because it's like some people come from choreo background, and it's like, you know, like I'm trying to think of, you know, like was it Shamrock? The boom, like just a little like move like that, right? It's like, okay, you could do that in a choreo way of like banging it and fucking out. Like all that, or you could do it in a way of like, I could be doing this while chatting to you while there's a drink in my hand while music is playing and I don't look out of place. And I'm like, start there, learn the move at I could do this at a party level and then build it up to a performance level. But then you understand what you're building up, because some people are like, I don't know if this happens with Afro, but like some people that learn in class, it's like you're performing the shit out of the moves, but there's no essence in the move because you didn't learn it in an organic way. And like when you learn a step in a club, you don't have time to go, oh, should my foot be pointed in or out? It's that like, no, what's the feeling of it?
That part.
And then you perform it after.
That part. I always say like in my classes, I'm like, my auntie Funke back home, like she's not like, oh, concerned. My hands need to be straight and here and then it needs to come out. Like nobody is thinking that far. Like I get it. I feel like we're quite specific over here because we're diasporans, right? So I think there's a little bit more of a
like
need
you're trying to preserve,
and preserve. And I completely get that. I am culprit number one. I'm culprit number one. But actually, if you go back home, for instance, like they're not breaking. Like how they're teaching you is. I'm going to show you, we're going to do it around the room 120 and we're just going to do it 100 different ways and have fun. We're going to switch the music up. It's going to be fast. It's going to be slow. We're going to sweat. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we're not saying like your right hand goes here. So I think it's here, like in the Western world, where we do feel that like need to be precise and specific. I'm not saying that like that's the basis of every class. Of course you variate, you cipher, you play around, but I think there is just that extra need to protect so that people don't lose it.
I feel like the specificity in teaching should be more around preserving the feeling than preserving the way necessarily
the
like
aesthetic of it,
the shape.
Yeah, like because I feel like I don't know your opinion on like let's say with popping, right? I've heard this debate before about like the right or wrong way to hit, right? And even when I would teach or help someone, I'm like, okay, don't flick your wrist, don't like bang your shoulders down or whatever, like keep it clean. But then I don't know if I should say who it is just in case this is controversial, but like I heard a high level dancer that someone was like they were judging, and someone came up and was like, oh, why did I lose? Like his hits are really like shit technique, like he's like throwing his arms and all this, and he said I don't really care about the technique of a hit as long as it creates the desired effect. I don't care about these intricacies. And I'm like, isn't that kind of the point? Like at first I was like, no, that's not how it's supposed to be doing, but I was also like, yeah, I guess the whole point is the desired effect. Does it look like you're doing a robot? Does it look like you're hitting? And I guess with Afro or any other styles, I
think it's balance, because I have seen Afro dancers who are super clean. Like you can tell, like they practice the hell out of the steps and stuff, but I feel nothing.
Yeah,
so,
but it's dead inside.
Yeah. Like I feel nothing, and like of course I'm sure you've heard Homebrew say a million times, like feeling first. I think if that's, but then also I don't want to be distracted so much by character and someone getting lost in feeling that the essence and the
you're not doing any moves.
Exactly. So I think there's like a healthy balance, because as crazy as the dancers are back home, and they are wild, I'll show you some videos after, like they are wild, but there is still like they still stay true and respect the move or the step or whatever for what it is, even in the feeling and the wildness of it. So I think it's like a balance. I mean, I can't for popping, I don't want to,
but it's like I think
probably a similar answer, I would say.
I think it's like and not maybe like not that it's controversial, but I think it's like there is no clear line, but at the end of the day it's like I feel like dance is a form of expression, and like even more so when it's linked so much to like a cultural expression, that how much you like vary it and what your relationship is to that base culture is like it informs how far you can stray to certain things without losing a certain essence of it. Like,
agreed.
So I think, like for me to like who like if people don't know me, I don't do Afro, but it's like for me to do Afro and to try to right away like create my own kind of not stray from it, but like take it and run. It's like there's an anchor somewhere that's missing, but from somebody who like is part of the culture, has been around it since they were a kid, everybody in the house dances all the time. It's like for them to even start touching it and to run with it, there's like an intuitive understanding that is like intuition can be developed and built over time, over many different experiences that is not just dance related. Agreed. So it's like food and being there and seeing how people talk and seeing how like all of that. So it's like then it allows you to have something to play with that's a bit more of a like wholesome thing. And I feel like to a certain extent, even if you take popping, it's like, again, of understanding how you can play with certain aspects of the dance without completely like deforming it.
Yeah, that's true. Because even with hits, like good poppers can and will like create different textures and feelings with their hits. It's not just a straight up hit. There might be like a vibration thing or
and it's like, okay, don't flick your wrist and don't use your shoulder, but it's like there's a bunch of experienced dancers who do it. It's more like in the beginning, don't use that as a crutch.
Yes.
It's so that like you don't have a choice but to use it because you don't, but then at the end of the day, when you want to pop really hard, then you use your shoulder. Like a bunch of people do use their shoulders. So it's not like it's a straight answer thing. And it's like, the lines of like when you start, like it's really blurry, and I think it's really difficult to define. And I think the whole point is that like these things can't be defined because it's a
cultural,
because it's
I think that's
so
the
many
hard,
different things coming together.
The hard thing is like with
it's a constellation of things,
with a cultural, like you can never make dance a science. Like you can never make it like like gymnastics where there's a certain amount of moves or whatever. It's like, it is a cultural thing because people that are even more like breaking is maybe a little bit closer to that end, but for anything top styles, it's like, it's so loose. It's like, you know, because it's like, let's say, I don't know, there might be a move from Nigeria or something, but if like a bunch of Nigerian dancers, it became a trend that they all started doing it in air quotes in a wrong way, that would become foundation.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we're all doing it wrong, but we're doing it wrong because the culture is moving in that way.
But we all agree. So like it's like, oh, we're all doing it wrong, but we all agree this is a thing now. So it's a thing.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any examples in like hip hop or something, but like,
but it's like even locking is like the perfect example of that, because locking started as like he couldn't dance, and so he would just like stop and like jokes and like stop and like start again, and it's like, you know, and not people were like, oh, okay, what if we do it like this? So it's not like he was wrong, but he was like trying to do something that he couldn't quite do, and then it became a thing. So that can definitely happen, but like I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just so, like I said, I think the balance like needs to be there. And I also think because here, like, there's a big culture of like competitions and battles and stuff like that. And I think in order for your style, I guess, to be taken seriously, it needs to be seen to have foundation, and it needs to be seen to have structure and all of these things, which maybe back home doesn't serve as much of as an importance there, but here it does, which is why I think sometimes the feeling gets lost, because I think people, especially Afro now, it's like we want it to be taken serious, like we don't just want it to, and I think I've spoken to a few crumpers who kind of have felt the same, where it's like, oh, we wish we could have our own category, and we wish this, and then it doesn't all have to be clumped into all styles. I think that's probably why there's like a specificity with African dance styles at the moment, because the culture here is, there's a lot of battles and competitions, and even at the bare minimum, if the judges that are on the panel don't know it, what they should be able to see is like some kind of like structure, and something that's clear and not just lines that are blurred.
And I guess maybe it's like, I would imagine it's slightly easier for a lot of people in London because there are a lot of Londoners who have like African backgrounds. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you're not completely removed from the culture.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people here that are African also, whereas like I'm sure there's a lot of other countries that are like don't have that diversity. And then they're kind of like being like, well, we want to do that thing also, and it's like, well, not only are you not that culture, you're also about 1,000 miles.
But
from
not
like, do you know what I mean?
But even from like, I have a friend from Canada that was at the last on the floor sessions, and she was like, because the majority in Montreal anyways, like there are people like of African descent, but the majority of people are like kind of from the Caribbean.
Because Toronto as well is big.
It's like there's more like people from the Caribbean than people from Africa. So it's like a lot of the traditional dances are more like Haitian, whatnot. But she was just like, oh, but obviously because Afro is big, there are people that do Afro in Montreal. But she was just like, oh my God, like the Afro dancers are crazy. Like,
she should have seen the,
like she was shook.
The Afro and house battle.
That night was just like
that was like everyone was there, like Afro people.
No, but she was definitely like, oh yeah, it's a thing here.
I wonder also, this is before we move on to the other episode, I'll ask your thoughts on this one. Is there some version, okay, so with like Black American culture, I feel like a lot of the preservation, or a lot of the issue with like people using it or like being involved, and why people are very like not strict but really like cautious of who comes in to use it, is because a lot of the Black American people that invented the style or are pioneering the style, whether that's rap, whether that's whatever, are not getting the same level of recognition, support, blah blah blah, as maybe someone that's like from somewhere else that picks up this thing and does it, you know. And it feels a bit like, Why are we over here struggling to get any recognition and you're thriving off it over there? Is there something that with Afro where that exists less because you have people like Burna Boy selling out stadiums in Nigeria and stuff like that there? So they're not in a sense of like, I guess if we're talking global politics, yes, there is a discrepancy with like the UK or Africa. If we're talking like popularity of the music, like I remember watching an interview with Burna Boy and he was like, when I came here and I was like a breakout artist that nobody knew, I had just come from like a stadium tour in Nigeria. So it's like, or in Africa, I think. So it's like, you're a continental superstar to come over here to get like, you know, half the audiences. And then you're seeing people like, oh, I want to join in with, like, I want to make Afrobeat songs or whatever. You're like, yeah, have your fun. Like, we're over there, like, killing it. Is there, I don't know, maybe I'm being ignorant, but is there something that's a little bit different where there is some popularity and success of the actual people in Africa pioneering stuff?
Dance-wise?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess dance-wise. Is there a parallel maybe?
Interestingly enough, I think I can only speak for like specific styles and stuff, but dance-wise, it's interesting because I feel like a lot of the pioneers get more recognition outside.
Interesting.
Of the home countries, I think. With some, I think they're very well respected. There is a incredible woman called Zota, who she does coupe décalage from Ivory Coast. Okay. And I think even just to classify as a dancer is a little bit disrespectful because because the music, coupe décalage music and the dance go hand in hand. Like, you can't separate them.
Okay.
So usually like say like a dancer will create a move and then the artist will make music for it, or it will be like the other way around. So
similar to like the social dances in hip hop, like
yeah. And she was a huge part of that. Same with a guy called Ordinateur, and so they are like legends in their countries. Whereas with Azonto, for instance, there's one of my mentors called Eflex, who's like a huge pioneer of Azonto, and he's well respected in Ghana, but he is like when he steps, and he's been like everywhere, like India, Mexico, he's been everywhere because the accessibility, I guess, to be taught by a pioneer is I guess when he's back home, they just see him as, you know, he's just one of our, he's in the community, we grew up with him. Whereas when he steps out of that, I think with musicians, I think they're trying to gain way more. Yes, they are like worshipped in their home countries, but like, I don't know if you've seen a few interviews with some Afrobeats artists who they don't even want to be referred to as Afrobeats artists. Right. And it's like, I don't, because then they feel like they're boxed in. So they might have this like popularity in like back home, but like they're trying to like
expand. I guess it's like someone like Tyler the Creator not wanting to be called a rapper. You know, or whatever. It's like, I'm an artist, like, let me do whatever else. Exactly. But definitely with dance, like I find just from observation that like people tend to, I don't want to use the word worship, but like they tend to like really, really value when these pioneers like step out because, and that wasn't a thing back in, like, if you think things like visas and stuff, like getting a visa for like someone back home is a mission. It's hell. So I think now like that it's like becoming a little bit more easier. Maybe not for the UK, but like for other places.
Other places, like it's just incredible to, and it doesn't, for me, like I know there's been some conversation around whether that stomps on people like us who have been considered like maybe like the pioneers in our countries, and now that the pioneers from back home are able to travel, like what does that mean
it's interesting
for people like us? And it's a valid conversation. It is a very valid conversation, but I think for me it does not change anything that I personally do. I think if my teacher can come to my country, if anything, I think it validates me
100%.
but I do get why maybe there might be like a because then like if they don't need to bring me to India if so and so can get a visa. Like I get it,
but then also that kind of, I guess, encourages people to like build their own way of doing things or their own, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, 100%. You can get him, but you can't get it the way I do it. So
100%.
Although that's the original version, my version is also
100%.
valid.
I think Curtis may have mentioned something about this at the OYOFE camp, where he says if a legend moves to your country, or if a pioneer moves to your country, and you've been like the teacher that's known to teach that style for a while, what stops anything from you getting washed out and then the pioneer taking
if
over?
You're just doing the same as what they're doing.
Because then students can just say, oh, well, then I don't need to, you can piss off, like I'm just gonna it's true. So what's your thing, literally what you just said, like what's
but I wonder also, like, if that, like, even if they're getting love when they step out more than at home, the fact that those pioneers are getting recognition, do you think that contributes to the welcoming nature in that kind of roundabout way, in the sense of like, okay, you can like, okay, you might be like there's always that kind of, we spoke about it last time on the pod, but there's always that like question mark of like, okay, you're like a white British person coming in, learning the style and then teaching it. It's always a bit like, okay, all right, like let's see how this goes or whatever. But it's like, at the end of the day, you're never going to be bigger in the world's eyes than the person who created it. Whereas I think in a lot of other styles, it's like there's people that are getting way more famous than the one who created it. And then that feels wrong because you're like, how are you making more money than that? But if these people are, you know, working and living and being like you said, like worshipped or whatever, then it's kind of like maybe they're in a more of a position to be like, hey, everyone just have fun with it.
I mean, it's still, again, like I don't want to make it sound like it's all peaches and roses.
Sure,
still, it definitely still happens, like where, you know, there are especially people who maybe are non-Africans, and this is nothing to do with non-Africans can't teach the styles. I think I mentioned this last time, that I know some incredible non-Africans who are not just in the body, like that did it, but the knowledge as well is there. Like they're tapped in, and not even in an ego way where like, haha, like I'm not African, but I know more than you. Like nothing like that. Like just like I know that they stand firm in what they do, but they're still always like giving credit to where it's due. It definitely does happen. What I've noticed with that is sometimes people might want to learn from people who look like them.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I necessarily agree, or that like I think I'm kind of 50-50 with it. But I have noticed that there are some communities who they're genuinely like intimidated, like it's scary for them. So then suddenly when you find someone who looks like you, who is skilled and knowledgeable and teaches it, of course there's going to be a question of, okay, yeah, they teach it and they're good, but this person has been teaching it for a minute and they're from there, and so why? And
just because of your whatever in your head, you're scared to go in their class.
But that is a thing. Like, it is a thing. Some people would rather learn from someone who looks like them.
All right, guys, that was the end of this week's public episode. If you want to catch the rest of our wonderful conversation with our fantastic guest Olu and our less fantastic guest Genevieve, catch us on the membership platform. Join the loyal listeners tier, become a loyal listener, and find out all the tea that we're talking about. Peace, guys.
Deuces.